Hello and welcome everybody. My name's Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com. I've been doing a series lately on retrograde. So I've already done the retrograding planets for 2020 and it's all 8 of them, which is a lot because that doesn't normally happen. Venus and Mars don't usually go retrograde every single year. And so there's a lot happening there. And I've also covered the 6 eclipses happening in 2020, add that on top. And today I'm going to be talking about the retrograding asteroids, add that on top. So let's have a look and see what I mean. When you look at it in a sort of diagrammatic form like this, you can see what I'm talking about, that there is really so much happening in 2020. So 12 retrogrades of main planet and asteroids. There are some really important asteroids that are not retrograding, like Vesta and also Lilith, Eros and Psyche and a few others. So they're not in this chart. But you can see that Ceres, Pallas, Juno and Chiron are retrograding, and really from May right up until October, November, there is still a lot for us to process. So typically when asteroids and planets retrograde, they cause disruption. So the status quo is shaken up. And sometimes things can just go a little bit quieter, like, for example, if Mars retrogrades, you might be feeling flat or unmotivated. But when planets like Uranus go retrograde, things can get even more volatile and unpredictable than usual. So I'm going to talk about the retrogrades of Ceres, Pallas and Juno and Chiron today, and that will give you a little bit more in-depth information. So let's have it like this so you can see more clearly. Now, the first one, Ceres, 2020 retrogrades are July 6th until October 18th in Aquarius. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the background and how Ceres was named, because that sort of gives you an idea of what it affects. And it was a dwarf planet. It was reclassified as a dwarf planet in 2006, and she's been named after the Roman goddess of agriculture. Okay, so already we know just by that agriculture, food production, food supply, crops, taming the land, so to speak, are going to be affected just on the basis of all of the energy that is accumulated over the time that Ceres has been named. Okay. Sometimes we see her holding shafts of wheat, as she has a special relationship to Mother Earth. So we know that Mother Earth is going to be affected. In ancient mythology, the daughter of Ceres was Persephone, and she was married to Hades, ruler of the underworld. Ceres was so grief-stricken when that her grief forced the earth into a perpetual state of winter, and no grain or crop would grow during the resulting subsequent famine. Okay, so Ceres is really upset because her daughter has been taken away, whisked away to Hades. She's gone to hell, and that is affecting the food production. Okay, so that's a clue of something that could happen this year when she's retrograde, is there may be shortages of agricultural crops and food. Now, the NASA Dawn team recently found that Ceres crust is a mixture of ice, salts and hydrated materials. And when I was typing this, it actually came into my mind like a psychic flash about the biblical story of Lot and his wife Adet. And what happened was some angels in disguise came to the house, and they were guests of her husband. And she didn't know that they were angels, and they had been sent by God to destroy their city of Sodom. The angels guided Lot and his family away as the city was destroyed. Now, she had been warned, but she didn't listen, and she had been so disrespectful to these disguised guests. She was, her husband had asked her to offer them salt, which was his custom, but it wasn't the custom of the locals there. So, she didn't want to offer them salt. Salt was very precious and valuable. But anyway, the angels warned her not to turn around, and she did. She looked back on the city, and not only the city, but in effect she was looking back on her own past. And her lack of nurturance was karmically returned when she was turned into a pillar of salt. So there's a lesson here. Always be hospitable and don't get stuck in the past, okay? There is evidence of an ancient ocean on Ceres. Water is a very powerful symbol of emotions, and that reflects the idea that Ceres was grief-stricken when losing her daughter to the underworld. Ceres is a strong and potent symbol of motherhood, nurturance, and unconditional love. She is sometimes regarded as the mother of asteroids, having had many asteroid children. So, when Ceres is retrograde, you may be feeling unloved or unnurtured in some respect. Someone might be treating you disrespectfully, being unfriendly, or in some way you experience a lack of hospitality from others. You could be feeling grief, disappointment, or perhaps suffering from eating disorders, women's problems, or infertility. There may be difficulties with children, particularly daughters, or sometimes there's difficulties with mothers as well. There may be distance between you, either psychologically or physically, if you were a long way away from each other. If you have a strong and healthy bond with your children, particularly daughters and or your own mother, then it's likely if your chart is well aspected by Ceres, and when Ceres turns direct, these following abilities are strengthened: a talent in cooking, a talent in nurturing, such as childcare or taking care of others, good abilities with farming, agriculture or horticulture, good fertility, good mothering instinct and skills. Those most impacted by Ceres are childcare workers, those in the helping industries including social and welfare workers, those working on the land or in agricultural industries, animal attendants, and the zodiac signs of Pisces and Aquarius. So those dates again are July 6 until October 10. Okay. The next one that I want to talk about is Pallas, which goes retrograde 18th of May until the 5th of September. It starts in Sagittarius and 23 degrees of Sagittarius, and it ends 8 degrees of Aquarius. Now, the asteroid Pallas is named after the wise warrior goddess Pallas Athena. Pallas accidentally killed her best friend Athena, and so she took her name as a mark of respect. So she's often referred to as the goddess Pallas Athena. The story goes that Pallas Athena was wearing armour and fully grown from the god Jupiter's head. Right? Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, not really. It does when you look at it, actually. Because Pallas Athena represents analytical and strategic thinking. She rules wisdom, logical thinking, justice, cities, maturity, alpha females, particularly female lawyers and judges, and father-daughter relationships. If your natal astrology chart has Pallas negatively aspected, there may be aggression, injustice, immaturity, juvenile delinquency, and fatherhood issues. When Pallas goes retrograde, May 18 to September 5, then issues with authority and fatherhood figures can rise. Rebellion, rage, and injustice could sweep across the world on personal and collective levels. People just become plain unreasonable and illogical, more so than normal. And any base instinct can rise up. So this includes like lust, murder, selfishness, and there's usually a lot of remorse afterwards when the person realises that they've sinned or done the wrong thing. When direct, Pallas tempers our base instincts to some extent. We're more likely to think logically before speaking and acting. We consider the full picture rather than just our own selfish point of view. Power over others is put aside as we realise pure and unabated selfishness is not good for ourselves or society. When Pallas is retrograde, we can be forced into a position where we must reconsider our goals on both a personal and collective level. We are forced into changing society into something better by experiencing real and extensive suffering and pain. Pallas retrograde forces us to become more conscious personally and as a society, enabling real transformation across the world. Okay, so when Pallas is direct, and if you've got good aspects in your chart with Pallas, so you might have these following abilities which are strengthened: a talent in law and justice, talent in strategic thinking and mental brilliance, good confidence and self-esteem, healthy relationships with the opposite sex, and good competitive instincts and skills. Those people most impacted by Pallas in 2020 are those working in the legal system, particularly female lawyers and judges, those working where extensive wisdom is required, professional sports people, especially women, those working in defence and the arms industry, and those working in city management and planning. Alrighty, the next retrograde asteroid is Juno, which goes retrograde February 8th until June 21. So it's in right now. It starts at 17 degrees Libra and ends at 4 degrees Sagittarius. Juno is known as the Queen, by the way. So that's because she was named after the mythological queen of all Roman goddesses. Queen Juno was regarded as a female guardian angel, as she looked after women and ruled over marriage. She also represents the feminine principle of life, the divine feminine, and is the saviour of both women and the state. Now that gives us a clue there. If the state doesn't regard women in high esteem, if the state is not looking after women properly, when Juno is retrograde, like now, there's likely to be lots of stirrings about the divine feminine. Okay, so we can expect, if we went and had a look, we might see that different states were trying to subvert women's rights, or put women into a submissive position somehow. But you know what? I believe in karma, and so if you start mucking around with the gods and goddesses and not doing the right thing, karma will come and get those people. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit more background. Poor Juno, her husband was Jupiter, and he was a serial cheater. And although she did represent the perfect queen wife archetype, he could never be satisfied no matter what she did. So she turned her hand, because nothing she did work, so she turned her hand to enacting revenge for his wandering ways. And that's what I'm saying about karma. It comes back one way or the other. And so, woe betide anybody who's done the wrong thing by a queen wife. She can change into a serial cheater herself or enact revenge through manipulation and abuse. Her dignity and elegance transform to teach harsh karmic lessons. Now, the thing is that Venus is also retrograde at the moment up until the 25th of June. And so the two of them, Venus and Juno, they've got a lot of similarities, and they're retrograde together. So this is like doubly strong, double trouble for those doing the wrong thing in relationships. It could be make or break time. Relationships could break up because these goddess energies, they won't muck about, okay? They might look at deeply examining issues that have been plaguing the relationships for years, and then decide it's just all too hard and walk out. Okay, so if your natal chart is well aspected by Juno, and when Juno turns direct, Leadership, steadfastness, commitment, and dignity are likely. There's likely to be a talent in diplomacy and negotiation, advocacy and partnership, relationship skills, leadership, the ability to bring up old relationships, issues for healing and release one way or the other. Those most impacted by Juno in 2020 are those working for the government, especially women, female leaders including governmental heads, those doing traditional women's work, whatever that is, royalty, those who follow the royals, negotiators and diplomats, those working in the wedding industry including celebrants and wedding event specialists, wives, partners of all kinds including business partners, wives and husbands, those born under the zodiac signs of Libra, Scorpio and Sagittarius. And actually I might put Taurus in there too, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Okay, so next one, and the final one I'm going to talk about today, which is a very important asteroid, Chiron. And he goes retrograde July 11th to December 15th. He's known as the wounded healer. So he orbits out there in the Kuiper belt between Jupiter and Neptune. And he's known as a centaur asteroid. So these centaurs were half human, half horse, mythological creatures. And this means that they are in touch with both their natural instincts and human analytical thinking. And having these opposites in energy, sometimes the centaurs were torn between the demands of instinct and reason, okay? In Greek mythology, Chiron was wounded in battle, but he could never heal himself, even though he was a gifted healer of other people. And it's Carl Jung, the famous psychiatrist, that called him the wounded healer. So when he is retrograde, 15th July to December 15, we might find that old psychological wounds become raw and sore. They're like scars that ache under certain weather conditions. The past is gone, and we may have mentally dealt with it, but on occasion it can still come up. And so when certain weather conditions happen, you can still feel yourself being emotionally hurt by other people. So it depends, the area of your life depends on where Chiron is in your natal chart. But, if you feel like you're getting hurt over and over again, you're feeling rejected, you're feeling disappointed or betrayed by others, we can meditate on the situation and release those feelings that are trapped in our physical and emotional bodies so that we can get peace of mind. So, you might cry, you might scream into a pillow, you might go walking. I find walking puts things often, really into perspective, and it helps get that energy out of the physical body, out of the, the cells that all have a memory of what's happened. Many people with Chiron placements end up helping other people, the animals and the earth, because they've got the personal experience. So they can affect healing for others. And, when they get to a point where, they're not sort of going on about their wounds all the time. And time is also a healer. And so eventually time can help heal us, but it does take a very long time. And I know because I've got Chiron in my fourth house of home and family, it's not an easy road, it's a long road. But you can get to a place of peace. So the upside of Chiron is a contribution to medical and health discoveries. It really sort of encourages you to have a healthy lifestyle. And if your natal chart is well aspected by Chiron, these abilities are strengthened. So healing abilities, including the ability to access cellular memory, spiritual wholeness rather than fragmentation, ability to healthily temper animalistic urges with clear logical thinking. You can have both, and you can manage both. Ability to manifest radical new possibilities and discoveries. The people most impacted by Chiron retrograde in 2020 are those people working in the medical or healing industries, including alternative healing. Those people who spend a lot of time alone, people who are non-conformists, those people that are born under the zodiac signs Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, and Leo. Okay, so because it's in there so long, you can see from July right through to December. That's why there's so many zodiac signs affected by Chiron. Okay, so just to recap, you can see there so much going on, a big year of transformation and discovery. It's, you know, although it's turbulent and disruptive, it's also sometimes it's exciting because you discover new things about yourself. And the upside is when you go down into your subconscious and you go into the darkness, often you find sunken treasure or other spiritual gifts. You know, perhaps you were not sure about something, or you didn't feel confident to do something. When you go down deep into your subconscious and release all of the trapped energies, which all of these retrogrades are helping you to do, then you become more confident and you get stuff done. You achieve things in the physical world, and of course that has all sorts of benefits. So if I have noticed in the tarot reading I did on the retrogrades in my earlier video, there was a big concern about finances. And if you can go down into your subconscious and release all this stuff, as you become more confident, you also become better at attracting money and you know, developing new streams of income. Okay, so this video concludes my series on retrogrades for the moment anyway. Pretty sure soon I'll be going on with the horoscopes from tomorrow, starting with Aries and making my way through the whole list. But I'd just like to thank you for watching today, and thanks so much for supporting me. I will probably tomorrow hit 10,000 subscribers. It's taken 13 months of hard work to get to 10,000 people. So thank you so much to everybody who is supporting me. It's such a big deal because psychologically, 10,000 is like a real psychological sort of point. So I'm just wrapped in that. So thank you again. Please give this video a like if you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and click the notification bell. But in the meantime, try to stay calm, meditate, journal. Write in your journal, you know, write all of your feelings down. Don't sort of turn your back on your feelings because they're there, okay? It's all energy and it's all sitting in our bodies. So let it out and let it express itself in a healthy way. All right, okay, have a wonderful month, and I shall see you again soon. Okay, bye for now. Thanks so much for watching. Please visit my website, absolutesoulsecrets.com, for all things spiritual. Have a lovely day.